Hey there. You ever feel like your workplace has turned into the set of The Walking Dead? Except instead of chasing brains, you're chasing bandwidth, bonus metrics, and one more quick Zoom meeting that somehow lasts longer than the movie Titanic? We've got the walking exhausted, the meeting mummified, the Slack addicted. Welcome to Work Zombie Nation! Here's the good news. You don't have to stay dead inside. And neither does your team. Today, we're talking about how to resurrect your workplace culture. Not with ping pong tables or unlimited LaCroix, but with something far more powerful. Human-centered design. This video is for you if you've ever thought, sure, we hit our KPIs, but why does everyone look like they're two Teams messages away from an existential crisis? Well, let's consider what the idea of human-centered design might have to offer. What is human-centered design, you ask? I'm so glad that you did ask. It sounds fancy. Well, it's actually pretty common sense that's mostly not that common. In a workplace culture context, HCD means co-creating policies with employees, not just for them. Rethinking best practices by asking, do they actually serve the people doing the work? And focusing on user experience inside the organization, not just your customer's experience outside it. For example, instead of saying, we require everyone to be in the office because it's better for collaboration, which is arguable, you'd start by asking, when do people actually collaborate best? And what conditions in our environment help them do their best thinking? Then design your work policies from there. A useful metaphor? Old way, treat people like cogs in a machine who can't think and give them no input or options. Or new way, human-centered design, treat people like the designers, operators, and heart of the system. What if performance didn't require sacrificing your well-being in the process? Shocking, I know. Let's dig into how you can build a culture where performance is sustainable, not extractive. The big shift you're going to make, I like to call P&P, performance from presence. Instead of what we're used to doing, which is performance from fear. In the industrial era, a dreadful trend was established and showing up became the job. Punch the clock, sit in the seat, done. But showing up doesn't equal performance. Just because someone's online and their body is there, doesn't mean they're on. We want something much more alive than that. And yet, so many companies still use outdated cultural cues. Being always on, being first in and last out, measuring dedication by how little PTO someone takes. It's not just old school, it's counterproductive and unhealthy, along with totally unsustainable. Research from Microsoft's Work Trend Index found that burnout, now laziness, is the real productivity killer. And overwork leads to lower cognitive capacity, poor decision-making, and surprise, massive turnover. Which brings us to the STAR method. No, it's not that kind of star. I'm talking about the STAR method, developed at MIT's Center for Collective Intelligence. The letters mean support, transform, achieve, results. So let's break that down. First, the S. This equals support. This means creating systems that support people's humanity, not just their output. Think mental health resources, flexible scheduling, workload transparency. Next, the T. Transform. Encourage experimentation. Instead of, this is how we've always done it, try, what would be a better way? What would it look like? And invite your team to redesign how they work. For example, with deadlines, meetings, maybe even roles. Then the A in STAR, achieve. This isn't about hustle, it's about alignment. Clarity on goals, clear delegation, real autonomy, and putting the right resources and space in place to allow achievement from presence, not scrambling in fear to get it done. Of course, last but not least, the R, which equals results. Actual performance, not performative presence and just showing up. Measure what actually matters. Track outcomes and process, not just hours. That sounds great, but let's look at this in action. Take the company Patagonia. They treat their people like, get this, humans. Employees are encouraged to surf during the day if the waves are good, and there's on-site childcare, and they're profitable while being values-driven. Or take Blackbaud, the software company. They shifted their culture by rethinking how they measure performance. Less always available and more always aligned. That meant fewer meetings, more trust, and actual innovation. Now, maybe you're thinking, great, I love this STAR stuff and human-centered design. It all sounds good on paper. But my company still thinks self-care is a liability and burnout is a badge of honor. I get it. Culture change isn't always top-down. Sometimes you have to be the change, starting right where you are and doing what you can because you can. So let's make this a lot more real. What can you do as a leader even if you don't control all the policies? Here's one practical human-centered move. Redesign your team's meetings. Ask your team what's working and what's draining. Then together, experiment. Try something like cancel one recurring meeting this month, or turn one meeting into an async update instead. Or do a focus week, where no internal meetings happen before 11 a.m. or at all. Even just setting aside 10 minutes at the end of a project to reflect what helped, what didn't, is human-centered design. You're saying, your experience matters. Let's build around that. And here's the ripple effect. When you build trust, reduce waste, and treat people like they're not machines, performance actually goes up. Because people aren't surviving your culture. They're shaping it and thriving in it. Even in a more rigid organization, you as a leader can still create a microculture of sanity. A little oasis of thoughtfulness in the middle of the chaos. That's not rebellion. That's leadership. Now let me ask you a provocative question. What would less look like for you and for your team, or for your meetings, or for your expectations? We've been told and sold the myth that more equals better. But more emails, more status updates, more micromanagement doesn't make people perform better. It just makes them overwhelmed and resentful, kind of sad, because it becomes inhumane, and the results really aren't any better. And yes, fewer meetings might mean you have to actually trust people. I know, it's a little terrifying. But high-performing teams aren't built on surveillance. They're built on support. If you want a high-performing team, try treating them like humans, not hamsters on a wheel. Give them some autonomy. Set clear goals. Support them as people, not just producers. Then actually listen to the answers. You might find out that half of your standing meetings could have been emails or canceled or sent into the abyss, never to return. Because here's the truth. You don't need more grind. You need more clarity, more alignment, and a whole lot more trust. That's how we bring people back from the brink of burnout, including you. That's how we rebuild workplace cultures that don't chew people up and spit them out. That's how we go from work zombie to human again. So if you're ready to lead that shift, drop me a line in the comments and let me know about it. Tell me what the challenges are you've run into. I'd love to hear it. And of course, hit subscribe to get more great stuff on how to thrive in the 9 to 5 and beyond. Happy thriving.